We're reading the 14 lessons. We are on the third lesson, spiritual principles. In our second lesson, we gave you
wait, hold on.
7 spirit. How shall we approach this subject, which even the most advanced minds in flesh today can but faintly comprehend? How can the finite express or the comprehend the infinite? Spirit, man's 7th principle, is the divine spark, our most precious inheritance from the divine power, a ray from the central sun, the real self. Words cannot express it. Our minds fail to grasp it. It is the soul of the soul. To understand it, we must understand God. The spirit is a drop from the spirit ocean, a grain of sand from the shores of the infinite, a particle of the sacred flame. It is that something within us which is the cause of our evolution through all the weary ages. It was the first to be, and yet it will be the last to appear in full consciousness. When man arrives at full consciousness of spirit, he will be so much higher than man that such a being is at present inconceivable to the intellect. Confined in many sheets of matter, it has waited long through the long and weary ages of even a faint recognition, and is content to wait for ages until it is fully brought into consciousness. Man will ascend many steps of development from the man to archangel, for before spirit will fully claim its own. The spirit is that within man which closest approaches the center, is nearest to God. It is only in an occasional precious moment that we are aware of existence of spirit within us, and such moments we are conscious of coming into the awful presence of the unknown. These moments may come when one is engaged in deep religious thought, while reading a poem bearing a precious message from soul to soul, in some hour of affliction, when all human aid has failed us, and when human words seem to be mockery, in a moment when all seems lost and we feel the necessity from a direct word, a being higher than ourselves. When these moments come, they leave us a peace which never afterward entirely escapes us, and we are ever after changed beings. In the moment of illumination of the dawn of spiritual consciousness, we also feel the real presence of the Spirit. In these moments, we become conscious of our relationship with and connection with the center of life. Through the medium of the Spirit, God reveals himself to man. We cannot dwell longer on the subject. It overpowers one, and the mere words seem too weak for use in connection with it. Those who have felt the impulses of the spiritual mind have been faintly conscious of the abiding sense of the Spirit, although they cannot grasp it in its full significance. And those who have not experienced these things would not understand us if we wrote volumes of our imperfect and undeveloped conceptions of the subject. So we will pass on, trusting that we have awakened in your minds at least the faint desire to be brought closer communion in contact with this, the higher self, part of self, self itself. The peace of the Spirit abide with you. Illumination of spiritual consciousness. With many, spiritual mind unfolds gradually and slowly, and while one may feel a steady increase of spirit knowledge and consciousness, he may not have experienced any marked and startling change. Others have had moments of what is known as illumination, when they seem lifted almost out of their normal state and where they seem to pass into a higher plane of consciousness or being, which left them more advanced than ever before. Although they could not carry back into consciousness a clear recollection of what they had experienced while in the exalted state of mind. These experiences have come to many persons in different forms and degrees of all forms of religious beliefs and have generally associated with some feature of the particular religious belief entertained by the person experiencing the illumination. But advanced oculists recognize all these experiences, all differing forms of one and the same. The dawn of the spiritual consciousness, the unfoldment of the spiritual mind. Some writers have styled this experience cosmic consciousness, which is very appropriate name, as the illumination, at least in its higher forms, brings one in touch with the whole life, making him feel a sense of kinship with all life, high or low, great or small, good or bad. These experiences, of course, vary materially according to the degree of unfoldment of the individual, his previous training, his temperament, etc. But certain characteristics are common to all. The most common feeling is that of possessing almost complete knowledge of all things, almost omniscience. This feeling exists only for a moment and leaves one at first in agony of regret over what he has seen and lost. Another feeling commonly experienced is that of certainty of immortality, a sense of actual being, and certainty of having always been, and of being destined to always be. Another feeling is the total slipping away of all fear and acquirement of a feeling of certainty, trust, and confidence, which is beyond the comprehension of those who have experienced it. Then a feeling of love sweeps over one, a love which takes in all life, from those to one in the flesh to those at the farthest parts of the universe. From those who we hold a pure and holy to those whom the world regards as vile, wicked, and utterly unworthy, all feelings of self righteousness and condemnation seem to slip away, and one's love, like the light of the sun, falls upon all alike, irrespective of their degree of development of goodness. To some, these experiences have come as deep, reverent mood or feeling, which took complete possession of them for a few moments or longer, while others have seemed in a dream and have become conscious of spiritual uplifting, accompanied by a sensation of being surrounded by a brilliant and all pervading light or glow. And some certain truths have become manifest in the shape or symbol, the true meaning of which did not become apparent until perhaps long afterward. These experiences, when they have come to one, have left him in a state of mind, and he has never been the same man afterwards. Although the keenness of recollection has worn off, there remains a certain memory which, long after, proves a source of comfort and strength to him, especially when he feels faint of faith and is shaken like a reed by the winds of conflicting opinions and speculations in the intellect. The memory of such an experience is a source of renewed strength, a haven of refuge to which the weary souls flies from shelter from the outside world, which it cannot understand. These experiences are usually also accompanied with a sense of intense joy. In fact, the word and thought joy seems to be the uppermost in the mind at the time. But it is a joy not of ordinary experience. It is something which cannot be dreamed of until after one has experienced it. It is a joy, the recollection of which will cause the blood to tingle and the heart to throb, whatever the mind reverts to the experience. As we have already said, there also comes a sense of knowing of all things, an intellectual illumination impossible to describe. From the writings of the ancient philosopher of all races, from the songs of the great poets of all peoples, from the preachings of the prophets of all religions, and the times we can gather traces of illumination which have come to them, this unfoldment of spiritual consciousness. We have not the space to enumerate these numerous instances. One has told of it in a way, the other in another, but all tell practically the same story. All who have experienced this illumination, even in faint degree, recognize the like experience in the tale, song, or preaching of another. Although centuries may roll between them, it is the song of the soul which one. Uh, I have to plug in my computer. Give me a second. Okay. It is the song of the soul which, when once is heard, is never forgotten. Though it can be sounded by the crude instrument of the semi-barbarous races, or the finished instrument of a talented musician of the day, its strains are plainly recognized. From old Egypt comes the song, from India in all ages, from ancient Greece and Rome, from early Christian saint, from the Quaker friend, from the Catholic monasteries, from the Muhammadan mosque, from the Chinese philosopher, from the legends of the American Indian hero prophet. It's always the same strain, and the swelling louder and louder as many more are taking it up and adding their voices of songs of their instruments to the grand chorus. That much misunderstood Western poet Walt Whitman knew what he meant, and so do we, when he blurted out in the uncaught verse his strange experiences. Read what he says. He has it ever been better expressed. As in a swoon, one instant, another sun, ineffable, full dazzles me. And all the orbs I knew, and brighter, unknown orbs, one instant of the future land, heaven's land. And when he rouses himself from his ecstasy, he cries, I cannot be awake, for nothing looks to me as it did before, or else I am awake for the first time, and all before has been a mean sleep. And We must join with him when he expresses man's inability to describe intelligently this thing in these words. When I try to tell the best I can, the best I find I cannot. My tongue is ineffectual on its pivots. My breath will not be obedient to its organs. I become a dumb man.
Wait, can we pause here?
Yeah, you want to pause?
Yeah,
Yep.
because then I can move you guys into breath and start meditation for this morning.
Okay, sounds good. So we're on page 43.
That's it. I have it for tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you for reading, Domenica.
You're
Good morning,
welcome.
Amanda.
Good morning.
Amanda.
Oh my God, I have the craziest to do some breath work because I have to teach the 8 o'clock class.
Do you want me to lead breath work?
Oh yeah, sure. Do you want to lead it? I'm gonna pass host over to you then. And either people can set their own timer. It's just Domenica and whoever's joining us virtually.
Yeah,
So.
I'll sign off after we do breath work and I'll meditate on my own.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Amanda. I'm gonna log out.
Thank you for being at the studio. All right, bye.
Yeah, of course. Bye.
All right, so you can take your right hand and reveal your thumb and your pointer finger. Place your thumb on your right nostril and your ring finger on your left nostril. Inhaling through the left nostril, closing off both. Exhale through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close off both. Exhale through the left. And you can continue until you're finished and you feel calm enough to sit in meditation.